Okay, now for the background operations, create a new Java class. So right click the package and create a new Java class. Specify the class name as background task. Now extends AsyncTask. For convenience, first here I am going to using void for the generic type of the AsyncTask. We will change it later. Now you need to implement the doing background method. Okay. Now we have to implement some other lifecycle methods of AsyncTask. We need to implement on pre-execute. Now we need to implement on progress update. And finally we have to implement on post execute method. So now we have to execute this background operation. For that, go to register activity.java. If the user insert proper data, we have to pass that data for the background operation. So we have to start the background task. So create an object of the background task. New background task. Now we have to execute the async task. So background task dot execute. Now we need to pass some arguments. So first a simple string value. So here I pass register because this is a registration operation. Now we have to pass the name of the user. So we will get it from the edit text. So name.getToText.toString. Now we have to pass the email. So email.getToText.toString. And finally we have to pass the password of the user. So pass.getToText.toString. Okay. Now go to background task.java. So here there is some parameters for the background. So the parameters are string type. So here also we need to change the parameters type into string. Okay. So first thing we have to define some constructor for this class. So here I am going to define a constructor. Public background task. And for this constructor there is some context argument. Now we need to declare some variables. First one is a context variable. Now we need some activity variable. Now we have to initialize these variables from the constructor. So this dot ctx equal to ctx. Now initialize the activity variable using context variable. So activity equal to context, and typecast this one into activity. Okay. Now go to register activity.java. Here we have to pass the activity context. So register activity.this. Now go back to background task.java. So first thing we have to specify the registration URL. So I declare a string called register URL. Now specify the registration URL HTTP, and here I use localhost, so I have to use the IP address of my computer. Now specify the folder name login app. Now specify the PHP script register.php. Okay. Now we have to do something in the doing background method. So go to doing background method. So create some variable string method. First we have to know about whether the operation is a registration or login. So we have to get the params of 0. Now we have to check whether this one is a registration or login operation. So we have to use some if loop. If method dot equals register. If the method is register, now we have to establish connection to the server. So create some variables for URL equal to new URL and pass the registration URL variable. Here it is register URL. Here we have to add some try catch block, surround with try catch. Now specify some HTTP URL connection variable, HTTP URL connection, and I name it as HTTP URL connection equal to URL dot open connection. Here we have to typecast that one into HTTP URL connection, and you need to add the needed catch clause. Now HTTP URL connection dot set request method into post. Now HTTP URL connection dot set do output into true. Now HTTP URL connection dot set do input into true. Now we have to define some output stream. Output stream equal to HTTP URL connection dot get output stream. Now some buffered writer equal to new buffered writer, new output stream writer, and pass the output stream. Now specify the encoding format. Here we use some UTF-8 encoding. Okay. Now we have to get the data from the form. So string name equal to, it is available on params of first index. Now email, string email equal to params of second index. And the last one is password, string password equal to params of third index. Now we need to encode the data. So create some variable called string data equal to URL encoder dot encode. First specify key for the data. First one is name. Now specify the encoding format UTF-8. Now specify the corresponding value. So put an assignment operator. Now specify the value URL encoder dot encode, and here the first data is name. Now specify the encoding format UTF-8. This is the first data. Now specify the second data, so put some AND operator. Now again the same syntax, so I copy this syntax and put it here. Now the second identifier is email, and change value into email, and the last data is password, so paste that statement here. Now change the identifier into password and change the data password. So now there is no need of this AND operator, so we can end this statement here. Okay, now we can write the data using the buffered writer. So buffered writer dot write and pass the data. Now flush the buffered writer dot flush. Now close this one, buffered writer dot close. Now you can close the output stream dot close. So this will pass data to the server. Now we can get the response from server whether the insertion is success or not. So for that we need some input stream. So input stream equal to HTTP URL connection dot get input stream. So we need some buffered reader equal to new buffered reader, new input stream reader, and pass the input stream. Now we need to read the response from this buffered reader. For that, we need some string builder. Here the response is in the form of a JSON data. We have to decode that JSON data. Okay, so here I simply create some string builder. Now we have to read the data from the buffered reader. For that, I declare some string variable, string line. We have to read each line from the buffered reader. So I declare some variable line. Now start some while loop and put some condition. We have to read each line. So line equal to buffered reader dot read line, and specify this one as a condition. And all these statement is not equal to null, that is the condition. And all these things not equal to null. Now we have to append each of these lines to the string builder. So string builder dot append. Now specify each line and put some new line character at end of each line. So put some /n. Okay, so now the entire response is available on the string builder. Now here I am going to return the string builder in the form of a normal string. So return string builder dot toString and trim it. Okay, so here there is some return type from this method. So you need to change the return type of the doInBackground method into string. So you have to change this one into string. And here the result is a string. So you need to change the generic type into string. It is not void, it is string. Okay, so we got the result on the onPostExecute method in the form of a string. So you have to change the argument into string. So here the parameter is a JSON data. Now we have to decode that JSON data from the onPostExecute method. Okay, so first we have to declare some JSON object variable. So before that, we can close the HTTP URL connection. We can disconnect the HTTP URL connection. So now we can decode the JSON data. So JSON object, name it as JSON object equal to new JSON object, and pass the JSON string. It is available on this argument called the JSON. Now we need to add some try catch. Okay, so now we need to get the JSON array from the JSON object. So JSON array equal to JSON object dot get JSON array, and specify the array name. Here the array name is server response. Okay, now we can get each of the JSON data from the JSON array. So there is only one row, that means the 0th index. So JSON object equal to, I name it as JO equal to JSON array dot get JSON object, and specify the index 0. Now we can read each data from the JSON object. There is two data, code and message, from server. So string code equal to JSON object dot get string, and specify the identifier into code. Now we have to get message from server. So string message equal to jo dot get string, and specify the identifier. Here it is message. Okay, now we can analyze this message, and we have to display some alert dialog. For that, here I am going to declare some methods. So here I am going to define a method, public void show dialog, and for this method we need some arguments. First one is title. Now the message, string message, and we need code from server, string code. Okay, so now we have to check some condition. If code dot equals reg true, that means registration success. In that case, we can call that method. So call that method show dialog. Now specify some title for the dialog, registration success. Registration success. Now pass the message, and finally pass the code. Okay, else if code dot equals reg false, that means registration failed, reg false, again we have to call the same method. So copy this statement and paste it here and change the title into registration failed. Registration failed. Okay, so now here we have to display some alert dialog. So we need to specify the builder for the alert dialog. So create some variable called alert dialog dot builder, alert dialog dot builder, and specify the variable as builder. Now we can initialize that builder from the on pre-execute method. Now here I initialize that builder, builder equal to new builder, and pass the context variable. Okay, now go to the show dialog method. First we have to specify the title for the builder. So builder dot set title and use the title argument. Now we have to check some condition. If code dot equals reg true or code dot equals reg false, in that case we have to show the dialog. So builder dot set message and set the message from server. Now set a positive button for the builder. So builder dot set positive button and specify the label. Okay, now specify the click listener for the button. So when user click the button on the dialog, we have to close the alert dialog. So we have to dismiss that dialog. So dialog dot dismiss. And finish the activity. So activity dot finish. And after that we have to show the alert dialog. So create an alert dialog, and by using the builder create it, builder dot create. Now show it, create alert dialog dot show. This will display the alert dialog. Okay, now here we need to display some progress dialog. So here I am going to declare some progress dialog variable, progress dialog. Now we can initialize the progress dialog from the on pre-execute method. So here I change this one into activity, that is better. So now initialize the progress dialog variable. So progress dialog equal to new progress dialog, and pass the context ctx. Okay. Now progress dialog dot set title, please wait. Now set some message for the progress dialog dot set message, connecting to server. Now progress dialog dot set indeterminate into true. Now progress dialog dot set cancelable into false, and finally make it visible. So progress dialog dot show. So after the background process, we need to close the progress dialog. So go to the onPost execute method. Here we have to dismiss the progress dialog. So progress dialog dot dismiss. Now we need some slight pause on the doing background method. So we have to sleep this thread for some milliseconds. So here put some thread sleep. So thread dot sleep, and here I need to sleep it for 5 seconds. So 5000 milliseconds. Add the needed catch close.